Thank you to Cecilia and to Barbara, and welcome everyone. As Barbara mentioned, the APA commissions and acquires, preserves, promotes, and interprets public art in Philadelphia. This is a lightning overview of what we've accomplished during the past year, and those of you who know me know that I can really clip through this as fast as possible. It was a really intense, exciting, and dramatic year indeed. We now have many new projects in various stages of development. We just can't tell you about them right now, so stay tuned, and you'll be hearing more about those in the coming months. 2017 was our trifecta year of Martin Puryear's Big Bling, Saigwa Chang's Fireflies, and Jennifer Steinkamp's Winter Fountains, each groundbreaking in its own way, and combined an extraordinary accomplishment for APA. Typically, we're challenged and we choose to be involved with one major project a year, but opportunity and scheduling collided, and we responded with exceptional results. Martin Puryear's Big Bling commanded Kelly Drive from June through November of 2017. Big Bling was originally installed in Madison Square Park in New York City. This led to a wonderful collaboration that brought the sculpture to Fairmount Park, where Puryear's Pavilion in the Trees, one of his earliest public works, was commissioned and installed by our association 25 years ago. The collaboration was made even more inspiring because the sculptures also shared similar scale and materials, laminated wood and chain link fence separated by 25 years. Big Bling was positioned at a site that has inspired, welcomed, and provoked art and artists for well over 100 years. The sculpture stood, more or less, where Thomas Eakins painted Max Schmidt in a single skull in 1871, which was actually our year of founding. You also notice the Pennsylvania Railroad connecting bridge in the background, which also looms in the background of the images of Big Bling. Big Bling arrived piece by piece in Philadelphia. It was like a giant puzzle where a foundation awaited its arrival, and the construction and the hoisting of Big Bling's bling inspired extraordinary media coverage and attention. At last year's celebration, APA awarded Puryear our Medal of Honor. It was only the 12th time this award has been bestowed since APA's inception. The sculpture could be seen to great advantage from multiple vantage points, from the railroad bridge itself, from the river, and of course from the bike and recreational paths. While here, Martin visited the Pavilion in the Trees after many years, where we discussed the ongoing conservation of the sculpture, which we have been carefully maintaining for all these years. He was really quite thrilled with the condition of it. Collateral events included the Print Center's exhibition of Martin Puryear prints, 1962 to 2016, and the Philadelphia Museum of Art's display of a recently acquired intaglio print. For the energetic, APA offered a bicycle tour from Big Bling along Kelly Drive in East Fairmount Park to Pavilion in the Trees in West Fairmount Park at the Horticulture Grounds. Students from the Charter High School for Architecture and Design visited the Print Center exhibition and continued on to Kelly Drive to see Big Bling. Public enthusiasm for Big Bling, I have to say, I think exceeded all of our expectations. Puryear has famously said, "I trust people's eyes, I trust their imagination," and that trust was certainly rewarded. After installation in Philadelphia, Big Bling headed to Mass MoCA in North Adams, Massachusetts. And who could forget Saigwa Chang's Fireflies, those luminous kinetic sculptures in the form of free pedicabs that traverse the parkway at night in September and October of this past year. I'd like to share with you and take you behind the scenes and let you know how Fireflies began. Began with a simple sketch and an introduction from Lance Fung, curator at Fung Collaboratives. Fireflies was inspired by the artist's earlier work, Illusions of Childhood here, with its tricycle and embellishments. Looks amazingly connected, doesn't it? He was also inspired by Dream with its handmade lanterns, all of which evoke the artist's own childhood memories of his hometown in Guangzhou, China. With a leap of faith and a commitment to work with the artist as the project evolved, Fireflies was commissioned by APA in celebration of the Parkway's centennial year, with major support from the Pew Center for Arts and Heritage and funding from the Knight Foundation, the National Endowment for the Arts, and other partners and individuals, a number of whom are here today. We thank you all for your confidence in APA to accomplish this work. Fireflies brought together almost 1,000 handmade lanterns, 27 pedicabs custom-made in Montana, all shipped to Philadelphia to be assembled in a warehouse in Kensington by a team of technicians from Psy Studio and our local firm Atelier. In the meantime, we discovered, to the artist's delight, that the firefly happens to be the state's official insect. For the opening, Psy choreographed a dreamlike light and movement performance on the Parkway. Again, from sketch to actuality was a huge leap, a lot of work, and really an exciting experience for all of us. After a few days of rehearsals, and on opening evening, the Fireflies entered to music that was inspired by the official Pennsylvania state anthem. They performed according to Psy's instructions, aided by wireless earphones giving them performance directions. Turn right, turn left, spin around. And then the finale, crowned at the end by glittering confetti cannons and launched sky high and a joyous flood of crowd participation. Afterwards, there were almost 3,000 people there who were invited to join Fireflies on the Parkway, and people from all backgrounds eagerly joined together for an evening of joyous, shared experience. And then the selfie ritual began and continued, even with the artist selfie. And of course, sharing on social media and more sharing. After the opening event, free one-way rides in the pedicabs launched from hubs at Sister Cities Park to Iroquois Park and vice versa. Reservations could be made online and walk-ups were welcome. Perhaps one of our most spirited guests was Eve Rudin, a native Philadelphian who arrived to tell us that at 101 years of age, she was older than the Parkway. At the end of the evening, the Fireflies in procession returned to overnight storage every night, courtesy of the Pennsylvania Convention Center, where they were inspected and electrically charged for service the following evening. This was collaboration in the extreme with our colleagues from Psy Studio, our team of pedicab operators and public art ambassadors who interfaced with the public, and of course, our entire APA staff, especially Susan Myers, our assistant curator and Fireflies project manager, who handled all of the details of this project, and Caitlin Martin, media and communications manager. My personal thanks goes to all of the APA staff. We are small but mighty. Fireflies enjoyed front page coverage in the New York Times art section, and continued with a review and even more photographs, and was also featured in the New York Times Instagram account. Visit Philly, and all of the local media and print, radio, television, and digital covered Fireflies extensively. A marketing campaign advertised the project on buses, bus shelters, and regional rail, and also in Dilworth Plaza. We advertised in English and Chinese, and received very wide coverage in the Chinese press and media. And Fireflies was recently featured as part of Baltimore's Light City Festival for a week in April, where a bit of Philadelphia was experienced and reflected in Baltimore's Inner Harbor. And just when you would think it couldn't get more exciting and new, along came our third installation of the year, Jennifer Steinkamp's Winter Fountains, from December through mid-March of 2018. Was presented by the Parkway Council as the centerpiece of the celebration of Parkway 100 and commissioned by the Association for Public Art with major support from the William Penn Foundation and the trustees of APA. The APA was involved in the earliest plans for the Parkway, so Winter Fountains was a logical extension of our long-term vision to integrate public art and civic design. Jennifer Steinkamp is a true pioneer in the art of digital media. We hope to enliven the Parkway after dark, and we asked Steinkamp to respond to both the design of the Parkway and its cultural and scientific assets. Here's an early sketch as she explored the concept and possibilities of Winter Fountains. The artist located Edon, a dome fabricator not too far from Philadelphia in Horsham, Pennsylvania, where we explored how exactly those domes might be constructed. And once a prototype was created, the equipment was tested out at the Edon facility. All of the equipment was mounted in military-grade enclosures for safety and security. And I have to say that vandalism was minimal with this project, owing to the way in which it was constructed. The artist and her technical director tested their programming, and upon completion, the domes were shipped to Philadelphia and constructed under the supervision of Pannoni engineers, along with support from Philadelphia Parks and Recreation. Then at night, the programming began again on the Parkway with the help of our local tech team, Greenhouse Media. Signage and interpretive materials are a feature of all of our temporary projects. The thrilling result was 4 winter fountains, glittery by day and glowing by night, located at Aviator Park at 21st and the Parkway between the barns, and located at Aviator Park and also at 21st and the Parkway between the barns and the Rodin Museums, in front of the Parktown Place residences, and at Spring Garden Street and the Parkway across from Aiken's Oval. Winter Fountains was inspired by the signature fountains of the Parkway that cannot run in winter because of freezing temperatures. The opening night was hosted by the Parkway Council and the Franklin Institute in the Franklin Planetarium and at Aviator Park. The work was fulfilled by Steinkamp's enthusiasm for the creative and scientific breakthroughs made by Benjamin Franklin. She transformed the phenomenon of electricity through a cycle of ice, sparks, steam, clouds, and water animations. She invented details that surprised us, like hand-drawn particles, stray flowers, and puffs of steam. Winter fountains looked especially beautiful in the winter snow, attracting a flow of people to the Parkway at night, which was what we had hoped for. The winter fountains formed what Steinkamp called a constellation. From each dome, you could see the glow of another. A marketing campaign culminated with the cover of Where magazine, distributed at hotels, visitor centers, and other tourist areas. And social media was alight with images of winter fountains. Apart from broadcasting to diverse audiences, I want to say that Instagram especially encourages people to pay attention and observe closely, which is what we would hope for people appreciating public art. In addition to our highly visible commissioning program, the APA is involved with many other efforts, perhaps less visible, but having to do with collection management, also important to our mission. Our outdoor sculpture conservation program provides annual maintenance to over 30 of the city's important and beloved sculptures. Here, our conservator is pressure washing the bronze sculpture of Ulysses S. Grant and applying hot wax to the Duck Girl in Rittenhouse Square, which happened just last week. A conservation challenge this year was the sculpture of Thorfinn Karlsefni, a target of repeated sinister vandalism. So I feel I should tell you about the beauty and the beast of what we do. This happened most recently with the throwing of white paint in glass mason jars, requiring the conservator to remove the glass shards embedded in the paint, which he was able to do, and you can see that on the right, very carefully. We suspect that the vandalism is political in nature, and it is recurring. Another regrettable incident was major water damage to our archive storage room. We've engaged support personnel, and we're working with the Conservation Center for Art and Historic Artifacts, a very unexpected project. The Philadelphia Museum of Art's building program requires that APA relocate Louise Nevelson's Atmosphere and Environment 12 and Jacob Epstein's Social Consciousness, and we are in the process of finding new locations for these really extraordinary and robust sculptures. Our website functions as APA's portal to interpretation and promotion. We pay very close attention to our website traffic analytics, which in this case indicates just how dramatically our work in 2017 impacted our website visitation. Rather extraordinary. With improved digital access, our Museum Without Walls audio program continues to grow. Our digital channel on TeacherTube has now reached over 175,000 views and continues to offer online access for classroom use by teachers and homeschooling parents. Philadelphia has become the first major U.S. city to map its urban trails and attractions on Google Street View, which has been a project of the city's Department of Parks and Recreation and the Fairmount Park Conservancy. Users can now virtually walk inside the pavilion in the trees and fingerspan and other artworks in the park. It's really extraordinary. Indeed, APA has become well known for engaging the public on the street and in the park through mobile and social media, through Facebook, through Twitter, and through Instagram. We continue to consider locations for our International Sculpture Garden that had been located at Penn's Landing. These ancient and ethnographic sculptures, including this Indian Nandi, have been removed for conservation and remain in storage. We assisted the estate of William Riley to determine oversight and responsibilities for the charitable trust and its assets, including the need for ongoing conservation of the Revolutionary War hero sculptures behind the Philadelphia Museum of Art. And finally, Theodore T. Newbold recently retired from the APA Board of Trustees after an astonishing 52 years of service. And this included terms as president and treasurer. We thank him for his long-standing contributions and his institutional memory, which has served us so well over the years. I'd also like to thank the APA Board of Trustees, especially President Barbara Aronson, and our many partners, collaborators, helpers, and funders who are listed in your program and on our website. I wish I could thank you all, but you know that's my sentiment.